Life DBSC.
All right, y'all. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know what it is. It's another 420 sesh, man. Another live episode of the Offenders Initiative podcast. All my stoneheads and all my true offenders, salute for all y'all pushing up, and whoever catches this content, whether religiously in passing or in passing, I should say. Once again, thank you, because you could have been anywhere in the world smoking, but you're here with me. And y'all know what it is, man. Y'all see the caption. Another episode of It dropped last night. So it's Monday morning. Y'all know we got to talk about Monday morning. Monday afternoon, y'all know we got to talk about it, man. All my Derry associates, all my people from Derry, how we feeling about episode 5? I'm telling y'all right now, might that been like the craziest episode thus far? It might have been. It might have been. Again, Pennywise is not coming to play with nobody. As a matter of fact, this episode is the first episode where we finally get to see him as Pennywise, the dancing clown. He's shown up in various forms in the other episodes. We are now in the mid-season, and he's finally shown himself in his regular clown form. So I'm anxious to see the breakdown and all of that. And once again, this is spoiler country, Jack. If you over here, we done already seen the episode or whatever. If you ain't, roll up. Let's have a look or whatever. And I'm telling y'all right now, if y'all have any theories or comments or anything like that, please leave them in the comment section. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you're smoking on today, you know. And let's get into it. Today, I have, again, some more of that blue cheese I'm blowing on. You feel me? And let's get into it. This is by way of Marvelous Videos. Please go give them a like, comment, and subscribe. And let's get to it.
The Neibolt Street house connection to the original films. All right, so right off the bat, we've got this incredible callback to the It films. The Neibolt Street house is literally the same house from both the 2017 It movie and It Chapter 2. For those who've watched the films, you know this house is ground zero for Pennywise's.
This house has never looked good. I wonder in season 2 and season 3 of Welcome to Derry, is this house going to look newer? And did a family once live in here? That's another question.
Entire operation. In the movies, the climax happens inside this house, and it's built directly on top of a well that connects to its lair in the sewers. But the show is expanding on this location's significance. In the original novel, the house had importance, but the filmmakers really elevated it. By using it as the entry point for the military's operation in episode 5, they're essentially showing us how this location became so integral to Pennywise's mythology throughout the decades. The fact that General Shaw chooses this spot for the military mission is deliberate storytelling showing how this cursed place keeps drawing people into its grasp.
Now, the fact that General Shaw sent them folks in there and he ain't go in there himself is just wrong. Them other soldiers do not know what they're dealing with, even though they very much so had a briefing before they went into the house. The colonel or whoever was in charge told them it will use your greatest fears against you. Anything you see is probably not real, so proceed with caution. You know what I'm saying? Shoot to kill. These guys they sent in there just weren't ready. I'm sorry.
The sewer system and the Native American star shards. The sewers under Derry are all connected, and they form a massive network beneath the entire town. What's even cooler is that earlier in the season, we learned that the Native American tribe, ancestors of people like Rose and Tanielle, buried 13 shards from the meteor that brought Pennywise to Earth. These shards were deliberately placed to form a containment circle around its hunting grounds. So the sewers...
They put those 13 pillars with those shards from the encasing that it came to Earth in. That's the only thing that can hurt it, the case that it fell to Earth in. They put 13 different pillars around the woods where it was located at the time to kind of keep it trapped in there. And the Native American folks, you know what I'm saying, the children of Maturin were kind of on some, hey, As long as y'all don't go in the woods, everything all right. And it was on some he can't leave the woods type shit. So all of this is going according to its plan. The fact that the military is going in there to try and find the pillars, because once they take them and they move them, now it can expand. It can venture out further into the town of Derry.
We're seeing in episode 5 are literally running beneath the spots where these pillars were buried. Every tunnel, every path the kids and soldiers take, they're all navigating around these invisible barriers that are keeping Pennywise trapped. It's this beautiful layer of world building that makes you realise every location in Derry has been strategically marked and protected for centuries. The bus to Shawshank, Stephen King universe connection. In episode 5, we see Hank Grogan being transferred to Shawshank Prison from the iconic The Shawshank Redemption, one of King's most beloved stories. But here's where it gets wild. The timeline actually connects. The Shawshank Redemption.
It would have been so nice to have had a cameo from Buddy right here, seeing as though the Frank Grogan guy is getting sent to Shawshank at the same time as him. So it would have been nice if they would have had somebody recast playing him or even brought him back.
Is set in the 1960s and 70s, and Andy Dufresne doesn't escape until 1975, which is after the events of Welcome to Derry. So theoretically, if the bus hadn't overturned and Hank hadn't escaped, he could have potentially crossed paths with Andy and Red inside Shawshank. And get this, Andy Dufresne escapes through a sewer pipe. It's this incredible meta connection where Stephen King's different works are all subtly intertwined.
Don't nobody want to go meet Andy Dufresne and fucking Red and going to Shawshank. They said in this show, don't nobody come back from Shawshank prison once they get sent there. This Stephen King world is a whole lot darker, and we're gonna get to know it as more seasons of Welcome to Derry progress.
The show's creators are basically confirming that all these stories exist in the same universe, and the sewers are literally connecting them all. It's absolutely brilliant storytelling and a nod to King's vast bibliography. Pennywise's contamination of Derry's water supply. So during the meeting scenes early in the episode, there's this throwaway line about how Pennywise has been contaminating Derry's groundwater since the town's founding. This is so important because it explains.
Okay, I like the way dude breaking it down or whatever, but he not breaking it down the way that I need for y'all to hear it blow by blow, piece by piece, and all of that. So we're just gonna go back to Think Story, the people who never let us down. Give them.
If you have fun with my videos,
Hold on.
So instead of rehashing what we know, let's take a look at the new information. First, we have a name, Ingrid Kirsch. She's married to Stan Kirsch, the local butcher who we saw briefly in episode 2. It's kind of fun that the butcher's telling her not to.
Now, if y'all remember, Mrs. Kirsch was the old lady that Beverly went to go visit in It Chapter 2, who was secretly either working with or another form of Pennywise. So have that in the back of your brain, too.
To overcook his steak. Now, I got a kind of domestic violence vibe from this guy, which might explain why Ingrid has been fooling around with Hank Grogan, who we learned last episode was having an affair with a married white woman. I theorized
I just knew that Hank was messing around with the sheriff's wife, which is why he didn't want to tell nobody where he was at. But instead, he was messing around with Miss Ingrid. Now, in real life, this lady is supposed to be 67 years old. I don't see it. You know, Caucasian people don't age that well, but I can't see it in her. So it's an old ass woman he messing with. That's kind of freaky in itself.
Ingrid might be this woman. However, there was one thing holding me back. Until this episode, we've never seen her wear a wedding ring. It's only here that we see her have one. Later in the episode, for example, it's nowhere to be found. An episode of The Honeymooners plays in the background, a comedy that would often make fun of beating up your wife.
Oh, you're gonna get it, Alice. You're gonna get it.
We also get confirmation.
Right in the kisser. It's back in the day when you could just punch a bitch in her mouth when she talked to me. Let me stop, y'all.
That she's probably not a ghost, since last episode the only other character to have interacted with her was Lily. But in 105, we have her husband, Hank, and Charlotte all engaging with her. But this is where things get really interesting. The reappearance of Maddie Clements has me questioning everything.
Okay. So Maddie shows back up, y'all. Maddie shows back up, and immediately you can even look at him from this scene right here. Why is everything else like kind of not in color, or it is, but he's like black and white, sort of like, I don't know. It looked a little crazy. Like when I saw it on the show, he looked like he was without color. And that just kind of let me know something, because nobody makes it back from its lair. Nobody ever makes it back from its lair. So that was the first 3 red flags I threw on that. How did he make it back?
Questioning everything. He appeared to the kids as a normal human, minus looking extremely vitamin deficient. Is there anyone else in Derry that could appear normal, but is actually Galoo in disguise? Ingrid wears this diamond harlequin-esque apron lined with Pennywise red. She wore red last episode at the diner and will wear it when she reunites with Hank. Now, these last 2 details might be a bit of a stretch, but let me know what you think. The kitchen centerpiece looks like a yellow upside-down umbrella, conjuring images of Georgie and his raincoat the day he disappeared. The doorbell is shaped like a star, and it was Galoo who came to Earth in what Taniel described as an ancient star.
Okay, those are nice little callbacks or whatever, even though everything that happened to Georgie and all of that happened later in the timeline. Those are nice little callbacks. But again, as y'all can see right here, this is the older version of Mrs. Kirsch. The woman Ingrid is supposed to be the older version of her that we saw in It Chapter 2.
Now, does this mean Ingrid Kirsch is the same Mrs. Kirsch we saw in It Chapter 2? Likely not, but there is a workaround I'll get to. First, if this were indeed the same person, that would make Mrs. Kirsch here roughly 121 years old. I'm using the actress's age of 67 and adding 54 years when the events of It Chapter 2 take place. Second, what adult Beverly saw in It Chapter 2 was a Galoo vision, so as far as we know, she didn't actually meet a real Mrs. Kirsch. But here's something absolutely insane. Check out the license plate, 071-690. This is strange because license plates in Maine at the time would not have started with the number 0, meaning this is a fabricated plate number made by the props department. Knowing that, let's dig a little deeper. In the Bible, there's only one book that has 71 chapters. That's the book of Psalms. And if we look at verses 6 through 9, they're all about a child born of God, praising it to be its loyal follower, and asking for its strength in old age. I encourage you to pause and take a look at this in more detail, but I want to go.
Hold on, let's look at this. It says the interpretation. Ingrid relied on Bob Gray, which is the human version of Pennywise since birth. She's grateful to him. Ingrid finds solace in Bob. Ingrid praises Bob, pleads to Bob Gray not to abandon her when she is old, but give her strength. So maybe she has some supernatural powers that Pennywise bestowed upon her so that she could take care of him throughout the day.
Look at this in more detail, but I want to go over this last line, which could mean that the 121-year-old that we saw in It Chapter 2 is actually Ingrid Kirsch, and that somehow its power has given her the strength to live well beyond her years. Now, is this whole license plate theory a coincidence? Let me know what you think. Last episode, we saw Dick Halloran venture into the mind of Taniel and uncover the origin of the entity known as Galoo. Taniel is part of a secret order of the Scottawapscott tribe, whose mission is to keep Galoo locked up and the pillars which bind it hidden.
Shout out to the Scottawapscott tribe. You know what I'm saying? I said that right the first time.
For some reason, this is a different tribe name than the Shakapiwa, which helped Mike Hanlon in It Chapter 2. In Episode 2, General Shaw mentioned that Project Precept hinged on finding a series of beacons that point to a weapon that can create debilitating fear. The weapon
And this is what I'm talking about. So basically, the army wants to find it, trap them, use them to their own disposal of being a weapon towards enemy countries. At this time, it would be Russia, and you know what I'm saying, 1962, at the war that we read at that time. So, yeah, no, you're trying to encase something, entrap something that cannot be controlled. That is a supernatural nature that you know nothing about. Yeah, this should work out fine. Yeah, nobody.
Itself is Galoo, and these beacons are what the indigenous refer to as pillars. The pillars were taken from shards of the star that imprison the entity and are, to our knowledge, the only thing that it's weak against. Shaw believes that by containing Galoo, it could be used as a weapon against the Russians. Shaw's knowledge of Galoo stems from Rose herself. Usually when one leaves Derry, their memories begin to fade. But Shaw states that he was administered a drug by the Department of Defense, and his memories of their summer 45 years ago came.
That's another one of its powers. Once you move away, you kind of forget that it exists, which also makes it a hell of a lot more scarier once you do remember that it does exist.
Rushing back. It's possible this drug is a predecessor of Lot 6, an experimental drug created by a shadowy government agency called the Shop in Stephen King's Firestarter. It was used to unlock latent psychic abilities. Shaw wants this weapon to keep America safe. The backdrop of the Cold War sees children participating in nuclear bomb drills, and with talks of the Soviets moving missiles into Cuba, the threat of nuclear war isn't all that far-fetched. Thus, he's willing to take on a supernatural entity if it means it will win them the war.
Trash. That shit gonna get everybody killed. You gonna go in there trying to get people to catch this thing that can't be catched, and everybody's gonna die. Wrong move on the military's part. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Nothing good's gonna happen from this. If y'all know anything about it, nothing good is gonna happen from this.
Rose tells him that Galoo cannot be controlled, but he doesn't believe her. So Rose is basically like, if they're gonna go in, they might as well have her help. In a safe behind her closet is Sesqui's dagger, the ancient weapon carved from the star that trapped Galoo. We don't know much about how it works. In fact, Rose says Taniel is one of the few who does. We'll see that it keeps Pennywise at bay and glows when he's around. I'm unsure if these runes are meant to display the number 13, since there are 13 of them, or if it just kind of looks like that. The other runes don't really look like numbers. We also get a little more insight on how Galoo's cycles work from John. He's an elder in charge of these meetings. He notes that this cycle has been milder than the one.
Yo, the Native Americans ain't shit. They should have been killed. I don't care what nobody said. They should have been got him out of there. Something that's terrorizing your land, poisoning your land, and eating people. Y'all haven't killed it. Trash.
In 35 and 08, less deaths than previously. However, there's still time before the augury. This is a major catastrophic event that signifies the end of the cycle. In 1935, it was the Bradley Gang Massacre, and in 08, the Kitchener Ironworks explosion. Both.
So basically, before it goes to ground for 27 years for a sleep cycle, it always has this one, it makes this one catastrophic, nasty event happens where it gets a bunch of death, it gets a bunch of fear that it can feed off of. It feeds enough to last it for those 27 years until the next cycle opens up. Now, the next cycle after this season would be the original timeline of it, chapter 1 and 2, when it's running into the Losers Club from the original movie. That would be the next cycle when it wakes up. So we know what happens with that. We don't know what happened during the last two cycles. That's what we don't know. And every season, Welcome to Derry is supposed to go back another 27 years. So we're going to see the Bradley Gang massacre. Oh man, I can't talk. You know I'm high already. The Bradley Gang massacre. We're going to end up seeing that probably season 2, and then season 3 we'll see the Kitchener Ironworks fire. All of this stuff has been done by Pennywise to incite fear. Also, you can eat.
The events are depicted in Welcome to Derry's intro credits and will be explored in different seasons of the show. We also get a brief glimpse of a map of Derry where we can see notable landmarks like the Kitchener Ironworks. The big event in 1962, at least in the novel, is the burning of the Black Spot, the hangout for African-American members of the military. And if you stick around to my trailer sleuthing section, we'll...
Okay, so basically, this is going to be the event that's going to set it off for this season. Now, what's crazy is Will Hanlon, I want to say he gets caught in this fire because his son Mike ends up knowing about the fire later down the line when he's younger. So Somebody don't make it out with this one. That's all I know.
Get a little bit more into that. The Elder refers to someone known as the Keeper. It's not 100% known what it is they keep, but my guess it's some sort of record of each cycle that details the history of Galoo and its hold over Derry. Knowing time is of the essence before the cycle finishes, General Shaw implements Operation Nebold. At the end of episode 4, Dick Halloran used his powers to find the location of the pillars, at least where to start.
I'd have got out. Y'all not finna just keep using me for my psychic motherfucking abilities. And I wonder how much they paying Dick Halloran. Are y'all gonna get me promoted? Like, what we doing here? Because y'all got me doing a whole lot of dangerous shit on behalf of America. But obviously, things don't work out for Dick Halloran because we see him later down the line as a motherfucking cook at the Overlook Hotel in The Shining. Doesn't look like his military benefits kicked in.
The well under the Nebold house that leads to the sewers we saw in It chapters 1 and 2. The house looks pretty much the same as it did in 1988 with the Losers Club. It was built in the late 19th, early 20th centuries by railroad workers, but has since been abandoned. The army makes its way into the sewers, among them Leroy Hanlon, Taniel, and Dick Halloran. Dick has already been in these sewers, well, at least telepathically, when he was transported to Pennywise's lair in episode 3. Now he's here for real, and he's about to experience his most visceral vision yet.
He should have been the main one telling motherfuckers don't go down there. It's scary down there. There's dead kids floating, toys, glitter. He should have been the main one telling somebody don't go down there. And then he went down there with no cover. Where's your head cover, son? Where's your Kevlar? We got in trouble for shit like that when I was in. Where's your fucking Kevlar, son?
It doesn't take long for Galoo to do his work, pulling Dick under the water into a vision we saw glimpses of last episode. There he sees his grandmother, who we saw previously floating in Pennywise's chamber and in the background of the forest. We know from The Shining she also shared Dick's telepathic abilities, and the two would often have whole conversations between each other in their heads. This is something Grandpa brings up and is none too pleased about. He carries with him a chained box. If you remember last episode, Grandma reminded him to, quote, keep that lid on tight.
Now, you see the box that future Dick Halloran is holding? This is in the Stephen King universe, when you have telepathic powers, you can take the things that you're most afraid of and put them into like a secret box and lock them away so that they never hurt you in your mind ever again. So the spirit of his grandmother is helping him fight Pennywise by telling him, don't let him get into your secret box. Do not let him get into your secret box because it won't help anything. As a matter of fact, it'll hurt you bad. Pennywise is a telepathic being himself who's way stronger than Dick Halloran. So how do you think this is going to work out?
It's in Dr. Sleep we learn that Dick's grandmother taught him something called the lockbox technique, a sort of mental defense mechanism that allows him to store monsters, spirits, and even trauma. In episode 3, we got glimpses of this trauma when Dick met Pennywise, shots of his time in the war, his grandmother, and a Mardi Gras type festival. When Grandpa opens the box, it suggests all these traumatic memories, including actual spirits or monsters from his past, could be unleashed upon Derry. Dick's vision also hints at his abusive upbringing. From Dr. Sleep, we know that it was his grandfather who tormented him, and we'll see him yelling at Dick that power like his is meant to be used. So it's very likely.
And see, that's the problem with the military now. The power like his is meant to be used. They want to use Pennywise's power, not knowing that it's poison, it's darkness. You can't use darkness for good. It never works out the right way. Never works out the right way.
Likely he wanted to exploit Dick's power for his own gain, something he and his grandmother were vehemently against. We don't really know how Grandma died, but if this vision is any indication, it was likely a gunshot by Grandpa. Also, I've never heard of anyone use the phrase sphincter of your soul. Absolutely diabolical. In the final shot of the episode, we'll see.
Grandpa said he told Dick Halloran and his grandma in the vision, he said, I know y'all be having conversations in your heads and shit. You motherfuckers is gonna talk around me. I can see what you're saying. It's right there in your chest, in the sphincter of your soul. The sphincter of your soul? That is mighty diabolical. That's crazy work right there. The sphincter of your soul.
See the box been opened, his traumas have been released, but we also see this pool of blood. Is that his grandma's, or did he wind up killing his grandfather? The last we see Dick, he emerges from the sewers to see Russo's zombie-like body. We've already seen the ghosts of Teddy and Susie manifest back in Derry, so expect even more in the episodes to come. Last episode, Marge had an eye-opening revelation that the It entity exists. She's
fucking eyes. That girl eyes went out like some titties.
dodged a bet at Juniper Hill by lying about what happened, stating a piece of her glasses broke off and cut her eye. Lily was just trying to help. Marge has been the absolute worst friend over the past few episodes, and she's apologizing for letting Lily down. This seems to be a turning point for her as she'll join the gang in their quest to take down Galoo.
I don't like Lil Marge, and I hope she gets got, even though she's not, because I want to say Marge is actually, if you remember Richie from the Losers Club, the one that was always telling jokes, I think this is his mom. So obviously she's not gonna die. Everybody from this little group they got ain't making it out though.
Ooh. The kids meet at the abandoned standpipe where they're shocked to find Maddie Clements, the boy who disappeared months ago at the beginning of episode.
Nah. See, he didn't even look right. Nah. And then the whole no cops and all that, they were like, we need to tell somebody that you're alive so that we can get Ronnie's dad out of jail. He talking about no cops, they'll send me back to my dad. Obviously, his dad is very, very abusive to the point where he says, I'd rather go back down to the sewers where all those dead bodies are and where it is eating kids at. I'd rather go back down there than to get sent back to my dad. That is so vile that people could be that cruel to their kids that they would rather be with a kid murdering, eating entity than to be with you. That's just crazy to me.
1. It's kind of ironic that this is the spot Maddie showed to Lily, and now it's the site of his return. He says he's been held captive by a clown in the Derry sewers where not just him, but others have been kept alive. There are 2 subtle clues that hint that Maddie isn't really who he says he is. The first is that he says the clown only feeds at night,
making Pennywise sound like he a vampire. It only feeds at night and it sleeps during the day. If you've seen It Chapter 1 and 2, you know it can attack you at any time of the day. So that was bullshit right there. But they don't know no better because this is their first time encountering the entity. Just, he don't look right. You don't fucking look right. Wipe your damn face.
and sleeps during the day. We know that's absolutely false. There have been countless examples of Pennywise terrorizing the citizens of Derry during the day. The second is that he doesn't want the kids going to the police or taking him to his father. That's because
nah, bitch. If I'm Ronnie, if I'm a black girl, nah, we taking you to the police. You getting my daddy out of jail because he ain't killed no motherfucking body. You understand what I'm saying? We showing you to the police, and then we'll just tell them what's going on with your dad about how he beating you and this, that, and the third. But we going to go get my daddy out of Shawshank. Fuck you and your white privilege.
the kids going to the police or taking him to his father. That's because he wants to get these kids on their own into the sewers to maximize the fear he can feed off. But what about Phil Malkin? Like Maddie, we haven't seen him manifest as a ghost, plus his face on the cereal box in episode 2 was human. Maddie suggests that he could still be alive. So the kids...
He could still be alive? Come on, man. Come on, dog. Boost it, voice.
decide to do what all Derry kids do, go at it alone without telling any of their parents. Luckily, they have a trick up their sleeve. Lily's mom's happy.
So these pills are from Lily's mom that like keep you happy or whatever, but they also make it so that you don't have like, you don't exhibit any fear. Yeah, it's bullshit. This was the worst plan in the history of planism. This was wrong. And all of these kids should be made into a kid sandwich and eaten between 2 pieces of potato bread because this was a dumbass plan.
Pills she calls mommy's little helper. These drugs could suppress their fear, but really these things might as well have been a placebo because it does not work. Although we get this hilarious scene between Marge and Rich.
Are you two holding hands?
No.
Yeah.
We know from episode 2.
Them ain't nothing but some perks. Them ain't nothing but some perk 30s. Had them children out there taking perk 30s on HBO Max.
Rich has been crushing on her. Also, I love this shot, which is a total recreation from the movies. The sewers are an absolute nightmare for all who enter, especially the military. One by one, soldiers are picked off by Galoo. Like this version, who takes the form of Uncle Sam. You can actually see an Uncle Sam I Want You poster in the intro credits. Speaking of which, it seems the sound designers are adding creepier music to the intro song each week. For Leroy, Galoo takes the form of his wife. What does that say when your greatest fear?
I'd have shot that bitch. Look at that. Although some of you niggas, your wife might actually look like that. Which in case you would be more inclined to shoot her anyway.
Is your wife? Well, we can't actually be sure because Leroy isn't supposed to feel fear due to his damaged amygdala, the part of the brain that generates fear. There's also the part of the brain that Leroy isn't supposed to feel fear due to his damaged amygdala.
I'd have shot her motherfucking ass again. What the fuck is this? And what the fuck are those? Hell nah. You putting your dick in her mouth, that's a death trap, nigga.
The part of the brain that generates fear. There's also this amazing use of dramatic irony here where we, the viewer, know the kids are in the sewers, but the military does not. It adds for an extra degree of suspense. It's here Maddie reveals himself as Pennywise, and we get our first real look at the clown. And the producers claim they wanted a slow build-up to his return, degree of suspense. It's here Maddie reveals himself as Pennywise, and we get our first real.
All right, so this is our first real look as Pennywise as the dancing clown version of himself. He masqueraded, disguised himself as Maddie escaping from Pennywise's lair. So Pennywise can literally take form of another person, talk to you, have their memories, act human and all of that. Led all of those kids down to his lair, on top of leading all of those military soldiers down to his lair that he's also eating, because it sounded like he's not discriminating at this point. He eating whoever come down there.
A look at the clown. And the producers claim they wanted a slow build-up to his return, but in reality, Bill Skarsgård wasn't even attached to the project until after filming initially began and the writer's strike, which then opened up his schedule.
So I'm wondering if he wasn't attached to this shit at first. What if he never would have came on? They probably just would have went ahead and recast, and it would have been okay. They could have went ahead and recast. Who else do y'all think could have played Pennywise, bro? If they wanted to give him that kind of money, Johnny Depp. Yeah, if they wanted to give him that kind of money, Johnny Depp could play Pennywise. That would be crazy. Johnny Depp as Pennywise. But it sounded like my man here, when it was going around with the writer strikes and all of that, Bill Skarsgård originally was not attached to this, and he came on later, and it sounds like they might have did some reshoots. But whatever they did, this show is dropping banger after banger after banger. You know what I'm talking about? Seamus voice.
Leroy, having already seen Galoo take the form of his wife, attempts to shoot Will, believing him to be another manifestation. It's his partner Russo, however, who realizes Will's real and takes the bullet. It's interesting in the debrief that there's no mention that it was Leroy who pulled.
I'm not gonna lie to you, when Leroy accidentally shot his partner, Captain Russo, that shit was a little sad. And he did it so that he could save his son. But me personally, if I'm Leroy Hanlon, I probably would have shot my son too, for the mere fact that I just saw my wife with razor sharp buck teeth come at me looking like a whole demon woman piranha type shit, and I had to put her down. You know what I'm saying? So nothing that I see in here is real at this point. So that wasn't my son also running up with these other kids or whatever. He finna get blitzed down too. I don't trust nothing. Now I play a lot of video games, so at this point my nerve brain is on. Everything getting blitzed. If you're not behind me at this point, you probably finna get shot. So, but nah, this was great writing. definitely was feeling it. The fact that him and Russo served in Vietnam together, so this hit a little bit different to him that his partner is now gone.
The trigger. All he says is that Russo got hit. This might not be the last we hear about this, as Shaw states he still has some questions of his own. He'll also state that, quote, these people will answer for what they led us into, hinting that there will be retribution against the indigenous people.
So Shaw feels like the Indians led, excuse me, Native American people led them down into its lair on some, I'm gonna get all y'all killed. You know what I'm saying? So y'all just totally back away from this operation altogether. Which is exactly what they were on. That's exactly what they were on. Which is why Rose gave Taniel the dagger and said, at first she was like, well, I'm going down there with y'all. And Shaw told her, nah, you ain't going down there with us. Well, at least allow my nephew to go down there. She gave him the dagger that was made of the cage that it was in. That was to protect all of them so that nothing would happen to him while he's down there. No matter what happened to anybody else, nothing was going to happen to him. Obviously, shit didn't go as planned.
Which is kind of hilarious considering it was Rose who explicitly told Shaw not to go in there. Last episode, Hank teamed up with Charlotte Hanlon, who made it her mission to release him from jail. Unfortunately for Hank, this process will take a few days, and he'll have to spend that time at the infamous Shawshank Penitentiary. This is 1962, so he would technically be there the same time as Andy Dufresne from the Shawshank Redemption. Sheriff Bowers refers to him as a fish, which was the same term used in the film to refer to new inmates. He also threatened Hank, saying,
first of all, ew, Chief Bowers, don't give me jail talk calling me fish. That's what they call new booty behind bars. Fish. Hey, yo, bro, don't talk to me like that. I ain't no inmate, not yet. Have some respect, you bastard.
you know what they do to kitty killers in Shawshank. Every moment Hank is in jail is a moment he could be killed. So you can understand when the prison bus he's on is attacked and he's able to set himself free, he uses the opportunity to escape. This quote-unquote crash happens on Route 9, which is a road mentioned in many Stephen King novels, including the Tommyknockers and It. It's said that it's a road where reality gets thin and distances don't quite make sense. In Maine folklore, this road is known for being haunted as it spans into the deep woods with no civilization for miles.
Oh, nah. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. So you on a haunted road. Yeah, nah, it's just certain things I don't play with. That's just
We aren't exactly sure if this route is within the confines of Galoo's power or if something else is at play, but Hank does say that something attacked the bus.
He says something attacked the bus. This is what he tells the married white woman that he's having an affair with. Something hit the bus, attacked the bus. I don't know. It happened so damn fast. It came out there and attacked the bus in order to free him. This entity is too damn smart, knowing he gonna run his ass back to Derry instead of hightailing it up north some damn where.
I found it odd that Ingrid's first idea on where to hide Hank is her place. And I'm like,
or actually, Derry's in Maine, instead of hightailing it down south somewhere.
girl, your husband is there. Thankfully, Hank knows someone who can help, which is why we'll see Ingrid introduce herself to Charlotte. As Hank makes his way to the bus, the father.
Well, yeah, nah, we're not gonna roll past that. While they sitting up there talking, right? She tells him, look, everybody's looking for you. You won't get far, you know, da 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 da. And she was like, you need to come home with me. Woman, your husband at home, the one that said earlier in the episode, yo, where's my steak? And don't overcook it this time. You think you finna bring back a Negro, excuse me, with the ER at the end, back to your house for safekeeping? Yeah, what kind of writing was that?
That Ingrid's first idea on where to hide Hank is her place. And I'm like, girl, your husband is there. Thankfully, Hank knows someone who can help, which is why we'll see Ingrid introduce herself to Charlotte. As Hank makes his way to the bus, the father of Phil and Susie Malkin attempts to shoot him, believing him.
I wonder did they take him out for that though. It's the 60s. They probably did. Probably just told him to calm the fuck down. Now, even if you in the right for some shit like that, they still be on some, yeah, but you did put a gun on somebody, so you gotta go.
responsible for the deaths of his kids. It's hard to say whether this would have happened had it not occurred in Derry. The tribe elder states that as the cycle approaches its climax, the townsfolk become more restless. There's even talk of Galoo shedding its discharge in the Derry water supply, which could have something to do with it. And if you want to know what
shedding its discharge in the water supply. So you're putting your clown ass suck puppy nut juice in the damn water supply, infecting the humans around here so they can be all aggressive to each other, which would incite anger, which would incite fighting, which would incite fear. Pennywise, nasty.
where Hank will end up, join me as we head into our trailer sleuthing section where we try to figure out what will happen next. Here we find Lily in what might be the attic of Ingrid Kirsch's house. That's because we'll see a woman with long black hair here, and this shot of Ingrid, which matches the color of the walls in the background. Lily's looking through a series of photo albums which show Bob Gray, the man who would become Pennywise. This is likely his daughter Ingrid, who also happened to be the clown young Periwinkle in Shaw's flashback. We'll see another shot of Pennywise, but look how bad the makeup and prosthetic hair is here. This is likely what Bob Gray looked like when he performed as Pennywise in this traveling circus. We'll see images of this show at the carnival, which suggest we'll see his full origin story. Here's young Periwinkle's wig. If you've seen my episode 4 video, you'll know I think the figure Will sees outside his window might in fact be Ingrid. Marge and
hold on, y'all think she crazy enough that is she possessed, or is that Pennywise projecting the Ingrid image out to the child to see because they know it's scared of it? That definitely was thinner. The head wasn't as bulbous. That's definitely probably Periwinkle.
4 video, you'll know I think the figure Will sees outside his window might in fact be Ingrid. Marge and the gang at the Black Spot. In the Welcome to Set trailer, we'll see shots of them there with Hank Grogan. So Ronnie is most likely reunited with him there, where he'll hide from the authorities. This is where a group of white men come in and burn it down. I think they're the Legion of White Decency.
These guys, hold on. Hold on, where they at? These guys are the Legion of White Decency.
From the authorities. This is where a group
These guys are the Legions of White Decency. If that ain't the most KKK shit in the world, yep, go ahead, go on down there.
of white men come in and burn it down. I think they're the Legion of White Decency, a sign of which we see on the Welcome to Derry billboard. Pennywise is said to have been seen here, and we know Dick Halloran and Will were at this event. It looks like Ronnie and Hank will survive as well. Some sort of big event happens with the kids of Derry. We'll see them clamoring for the door, which I think could be at the school. We'll see Patty and the others float, and in another shot, her missing persons poster on the side.
Don't tell me Pennywise get a whole gym full of kids and them parents end up on some we don't know what happened. Don't tell me Pennywise gets away with a whole gym full of kids at a school dance and nothing happens.
Of the Derry standpipe. We'll also get this shot of Ronnie, Marge, and Lily running through the mist as the other children float above them. You can just make out Sesqui's dagger here. In this shot, Marge holds onto it, and its glow suggests Galoo is nearby. This mist is also something that envelops.
Could it be the mist from Stephen King's The Mist? Y'all know it was in the mist on the original movie. It was them giant nasty bugs that was killing humans. Bugs the size of fucking airplanes and shit.
Derry. We aren't exactly sure what causes this, but some have theorized it connects to the military operation from Stephen King's The Mist, which sought to peer into other dimensions but inadvertently ushered in monsters. The military taking out an object of importance. Perhaps it's one of the pillars, which they'll then melt into some sort of weapon. We'll see them digging up a turtle shell that holds one of these pillars in this shot here. This appears to be Pennywise's circus carriage with a pool of blood spilling from the floor. With 3 episodes left, It Welcomes to Derry is really amping up, and I'm excited to see where things go. But now I turn it over to you. What do you think will happen next? I want to hear your thoughts.
and that is from the good folks at Think Story. Give them a like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, give me your thoughts, theories, and comments in the comments. Again, tell me what you're smoking on. I'm definitely fried, dyed, and laid to the side by way of Mellow Fellows blue cheese. It's heavy on the indica, heavy on the heavy. You feel me? This has been another good sesh, man. Another good 420 sesh, man. It's your boy Slave DiBiase, man. Welcome to Derry, episode 5. That was a quick sesh recap, man. Tell me what was your favorite part of the show? How you feeling about the show so far? Have we forgiven Andy Muschietti for what he did to The Flash with how good every episode of It has been? Have we forgiven him for what he done to The Flash yet? Y'all let me know in the comments, man. Be easy. I'll see y'all for another one later.